Wait till it turns red. Hey everybody, this is Stephen Smith from Inside Out Studio, coming to you with Live Art Mini. Happy Thursday, everyone. I'm here with...
Kathleen Honeycutt.
And we're going to be doing some painting today. So Kathleen picked Georgia O'Keeffe as her influence for American Artist Month in July. And she's got some facts that she's going to tell us about as we get into Live Art Mini today. And you can see that she started her acrylic painting on canvas, inspired by Georgia. And then we also want to give a big shout out to Sherry Armstead and everyone at Symmetry Boutique and Gallery for being our season sponsor. So they're located on Sims Road in Fairfield, and we're going to have a special message from Sherry as well as her daughter Debbie today. They got a special based upon Live Art Mini and sponsoring Inside Out Studio, so wait to check that out. But a big shout out to them. But we want to give a shout out to... Who would you like to say hello to, Kathleen?
Hi, Mom.
Hello, Mom, if you're out there, and Dad, too. I got to meet Dad at Shift. He's an awesome guy. Stepdad? Okay. They're very proud of everything that you're doing here at Inside Out Studio. And as always, we like to introduce our artists and let you know something about their lives. So we always do like 3 interesting things about our artists. So Kathleen, can you come up with 3 interesting things that you do that people might not know about?
Outside the crocheting, I can also knit. So I usually make things like hats and stuff there.
Okay, so I am not an expert. I'm a novice at fabric arts. What's the difference between knitting and crocheting?
Well, knitting, I'm doing both hands. With crochet, I'm just doing the one.
Okay. So knitting would lend itself to hats and blankets, things like that. And crocheting is more like your fabric dolls. All right. And you know a lot about that because you have a job in the public, correct?
I work at Joanne Fabrics.
That's a perfect fit for Kathleen since she's a fabric expert.
Yeah.
And then I'm always interested in pop culture. So what is your favorite movie?
Ooh, that's a hard one. There's so many good ones.
Well, I know you're a Harry Potter fan because you're a Team Hufflepuff.
Yep.
Anything besides Harry Potter that you like to watch?
I'm trying to think of it. I know I used to watch Lion King on loop a lot as a kid.
All right. Lion King's good too. All right. It's good to get to know a little bit more about you and for sharing for everyone out there. So if you're watching today, give us a like, give us a heart, and give us a comment. Like if you have any questions for Kathleen or myself, feel free to drop that into the comment box. But Kathleen, shall we show some Georgia O'Keeffe pics?
Sure.
All right. So we selected a number of pieces about Georgia O'Keeffe. I'm going to start right here. We're going to fade into that. So everything that people can see out there is on the right side of our screen, Kathleen. And Kathleen has compiled some facts about Georgia's life since she selected her. Would you like to share with everyone as we're looking through her imagery?
Sure. She would take things that she could find outside in her environment and paint them, like, for example, flowers, animal skulls. It just depends on what she could find that day.
I've got a picture of one of her cow skull paintings because she did live in the Southwest region as she grew older.
Towards Santa Fe,
New Mexico. So she was really inspired by the landscape, things that she would find as she was out there.
You'll probably also notice that some of her paintings are a little abstract, too.
Yeah, I'm going to fade into one of her poppy paintings. So kind of in her earlier career, she focused on floral paintings. And as Kathleen said, it's a little bit abstract. So it's extreme close-ups on flowers. And at the same time, what was happening in the art world is a lot of abstract painting. So she was still working with realism, but she would zoom up so close that it kind of took an abstract nature to it.
She also had a slogan for her and her students, which was to never give up.
Very good. That's kind of like our slogan here, isn't it? Keep trying and try to grow.
She made one more painting in 1972 before she decided to quit. So she had been painting for quite some time before she quit. And then in 1968, on March the 6th, she sadly lost her life at the age of 98.
98 years old. Well, that's a nice long life.
Especially in that time frame.
I do have a portrait of Georgia O'Keeffe working out in the landscape. So you can see that the painting that she was working on there is very abstract in nature. It's very simple, geometric, like almost like a color field painting. But you can see that she's out actually in nature working from looking at life. So she was inspired by her surroundings, by her landscape, even though she worked in a somewhat abstract nature.
Then there's her materials, which are oil paints, color work, charcoal, and pastel. So she did a little bit of everything as far as colors were concerned. Well, she used a lot of like pastel colors. So like more of those bright, warm colors.
Yeah, I'm going to cycle back through some of the pictures we've seen already, but that's a good example of a lot of the oil paints are very easy to blend. So you can see a lot of her work is kind of blended, lots of colors flowing together in a nice natural way. Let's switch back to this one here as well.
But you can tell where, while some of the colors are dark, there's a lot of like bright, like pastel.
I was going to say, of the examples we pulled, this is probably the most abstract, but the contrast on the edges kind of lend themselves to like the petals layering themselves in the flowers. But you got that contrast between like the nice hard edges of the petals, but also the blending as they flow into the center of the piece there. We've got David Campbell watching out there today. He says he's on vacation, so thanks for joining us on your vacation there, David. We hope you're having a good one. It was good to see you in the studio earlier this week. But we're going to spend some time with Kathleen as she works on her piece that was inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe. And you selected a Georgia O'Keeffe painting to work from. We haven't showed anyone that yet, but we've got this here.
Different flowers and whatnot.
We got a dark side versus the blue side and some light contrast in the middle there. So we've been working on some blending techniques, working with acrylics. With acrylics, it's a little bit harder than working with oil paints because they dry so fast. So we've been talking about working wet into wet techniques. So let's spend some time working on that painting and everyone can watch today.
And in some places I've been blotting because as you saw in my painting, there's kind of a smoky effect in certain spots. So I figured a way to make that work was to take a paper towel and go blop, blop, blop.
That's right. So we've got to experiment, try new things. We're basing what we're looking at on the reproduction and what Georgia O'Keeffe might have made, but then you're putting your own twist on it for your personal piece. So let's try to zoom in here for a little bit, and we'll just let you paint for a while. And I might jump in with some tips and some blending and jumping back into the blue flowers there.
I'll just keep taking just a paper towel and in certain spots I'll take it and just go and just touch it against the piece because it helps make that not quite clear look, because there's no real good way to do that outside of that. I mean, Miss Keith could do it, but that's because she was using oils. She could literally take the paint and feather it out towards the edge.
All right, Kathleen, let's tackle some of those blue petals. I think you've got the background covered there. So I'm going to put the mic down here. I'm going to aim it towards you, though, if you want to add some bits of wisdom based upon your painting experience. So we've got the deeper blue petals over here on the left side. So we can start to cut in. You've done the kind of like the wispy blending for the background. So now we can cut in with some edges of the petals to create some contrast and make those pop out. And we're going for the dark blue. Very good. Would you like me to do a quick demonstration?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So we're just going based upon this piece here. We're going to start looking for the edges of the petals to kind of cut into. Not that they have to stay this dark, but you're going to create a nice edge, a nice clear definition to where the petals are going to be. And I'm an oil painter by nature, so I'm used to like just going right back into that paint, blending it together. So don't worry about getting some of the colors mixed together. You can make a definitive stroke. You can always go back and refine it. So now you can start to see like the distinct petals coming out of there. If you want to try that with this one down there.
That's one bad thing with doing it the way I was doing it is you tend to lose some of the by blotting on the canvas you lose some of the petals.
Well, that's okay. Painting is always a back and forth process. So if you're working on the background, you've created a nice kind of like blotted texture. So coming back in with sharp, definitive edges is going to create some contrast and really pop it out and create some depth in there. So there's lots of different ways to create depth in a piece. There's atmospheric perspective, there's scale, but also contrast in terms of what's blended versus what is sharp and clear. It's another way to do that. I'm going to put your picture right here in front of you so you can see. So I'm looking back at our screen here, and that's showing up really, really well and clear.
You just gotta go back and forth with it until it's not perfect.
Very good. You want to get in some blending techniques?
Sure.
Well, I'll let you define all the petals first that you like, and then we'll go back and do some of that.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so we got some definition to the petals there. And, you know, at this point, we said we're inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe, so you can either go based upon the image that you selected, or you can kind of just do your own thing based upon the blending. But it's really nice to have a variety of tones. I was going to say, I'm going to hold these up as I take the lids off. You've got a variety of blues. And when you're working with acrylics, you always have to work fast, like I said, because of the drying time since they're water-based. So Kathleen has a deep blue, a medium blue, a light blue, as well as white that you can work with. And then you can throw in a curveball as well. Since you've worked with, you know, the pinks and the greens and black elsewhere in the piece, you can also add those into different areas to lighten or darken and kind of change the color of the blue. It'll still read as blue to the eye, but you can sneak in a little bit of color just to make the pigments work with each other and create some unity in the piece.
Right here. I've been wanting to add a little lighter tone to that spot.
Now I can kind of give you an example. Based on what I'm looking at George's piece, I can see a little bit of pink in one of those petals. And Kathleen's doing some wet into wet blending, so she went straight from the light pink into the deep pink to get those colors blended together.
Because flowers are never just one tone.
That's right. Nature has a variety of tones, tints, and shades. Mind if I do a quick demo on one of your blue petals?
Sure.
So I'm going to say an example of sneaking in, I'm looking on this picture here, sneaking in some pinks just into the edge. We can even say this is like reflective light. So maybe part of this flower there is reflecting onto the blue. I'm just going to dab it off on the paper towel here and then go in with the light blue straight over top of it, kind of covering up a little bit of the pink, but it's going to blend together. Once again, dabbing off my brush, going for the medium blue. And then you create what's called a gradation. So you're gradually changing the color of that petal. Dab it off again and go straight into the dark blue. So working with acrylics, like we said, the drying time is faster, so you have to work faster and do wet into wet. So wet into wet is a traditional watercolor technique as well for blending colors. You can also do that with acrylics. And it creates a nice smooth look from one shade to the other.
See another spot where you...
But Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings were great with that. Like we said, the blended areas versus the really high contrast areas with the edges of the petals and their floral pieces.
Well, that's another spot where she had a different color in. So I'm going to see if I can get it to blend a little bit. That way, more of that. There we go.
That's good. You're sneaking some pinks in there. Like we said, when you're adding, let's say, like a color is isolated to the center of this flower and just a little bit here, sneaking it into other parts of that painting just kind of moves the eye around and makes it all work together.
I'm also gonna sharpen some lines like right there, because that's where the leaf and stem are.
Very good.
Sharpen this line using the deeper pink, so that, because then your eye can tell that's what this is.
Very good, Kathleen. I was going to say between this and crocheting, what's your favorite?
I can't choose too well.
Can't choose too well. I was going to say most of the time you spend your days crocheting here, creating all your awesome dragons and mermaids and figures. It's fun to see you change it up a bit. So I was just wondering if you like jumping into painting here and there and if you have a specific favorite.
I do. I like to paint just as much as I do crochet.
Very good. All right, we're going to take a quick break here and hear from Sherry and Debbie over at Symmetry Gallery and Boutique. And then we're going to come back and visit with Liz Pfeiffer, who's behind me here, working on a glass piece inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe.
I'm Sherry. I'm here with Debbie at Symmetry, and I just wanted to take a minute to say how happy I am to sponsor an organization that provides an opportunity in studio environment for artists with disabilities to produce, market, exhibit, and sell their work and receive an income.
Fantastic. And we here at Symmetry invite you to come shop with us and visit us at our store at 1000 Sims Road. Mention that you've watched this live today and you'll receive 10% off your next purchase.
I look forward to seeing you.
See you soon.
All right, thank you, Sherry and Debbie over at Symmetry Gallery and Boutique. Thanks for being our season-long sponsor. And if you go in there and mention that you've been watching Live Art Mini, you get a nice little discount there. So we appreciate that. They have one-of-a-kind handmade artwork created in the USA, just like we've got handmade artwork created here at Inside Out Studio. And then we're overseeing Liz here. She's got a glass piece that was inspired by Georgia O'Keeffe, and I'm going to pull up the image. It's a landscape from the Southwest that you should be seeing right now. And Liz is our glass expert, and she's created this design based upon that landscape. And Liz, I'm going to fade it back up so everyone's watching what you're making right now. But I'm also going to ask you to describe how you came up with that design, as well as talk about some commission work that you've done, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I was going to say, if you want to look up here, everyone's watching on the creativity camera.
Basically, I just came up with just making a rectangle bowl because I noticed that the painting was rectangular in shape. So I came up with the rectangular bowl design, and I basically decided to just use opaque and mostly transparent in colors. I came up with a bunch of different colors that would match quite a few of the colors, and I'm going to put dichroic, which are shiny pieces of glass, on top where the circles of the paint, where the circles are in the middle. After all these after all the main colors are on. In fact, I have one of the colors I'm going to put on right here.
Just hold it up there. Everyone can see on the camera above you.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the colors I'm going to put on the circles, which is going to be last. And but yes, I basically just find a design, draw it, and then I piece it together in a piece of glass after I figure out which shape I want it to be in. And I do many commissions. Basically, a commission is where a person specifies what type of glass or clay design they want. They specify what shape or what type of bowl they want, and they can specify as many colors as they want. And if they wanted a certain design, I put that into design of the glass piece or whatever in there, and I basically create it. Or if they just want specific colors into that design and whatever. And that's basically how you basically do it.
Very good, thank you. So Liz is one of our glass experts here at the studio. She designs her own glass, cuts her own glass, puts her things together. So if you have something specific that you like, we'd love to pair you up with Liz for a commission, make a one-of-a-kind piece for your home, or if you have a gift coming up for a birthday or have Christmas in mind. It's a half a year away, but it's never too soon to start thinking about that. And then we're going to angle the camera back down here. So Liz, you can keep working and show off all of your skills. So I feel like doing play-by-play here. So Liz is gluing down some pieces. We've got fused glass, so it goes in 2 layers. So she's working on a piece of clear, and as you might see that she's got the Georgia O'Keeffe piece underneath that sheet of clear, and she's cutting out the different colors, either transparent or solid, to go on top. And then to connect the glass together, we're just using a half and half mixture of Elmer's glue and water. And that keeps the glass temporarily in place before it gets into the kiln where it's fused into one solid sheet. And Liz is working with some transparent glass right now. So it's nice that she can see through the glass to the image below. And she's tracing right on top with a water-based marker to make the marks, to cut the lines. And then we use water-based markers that way they can burn off in the kiln. So when we fuse the glass, it can go anywhere between 1250 degrees to about 1500 degrees. So at that temperature, anything water-based, such as the marker or the watered-down glue, will just evaporate and burn off in the fusing process. All right, we got a Jean Sparks watching out there, and she knows that Dwayne's in the house today. Dwayne, you having a good time today?
Yeah.
Let's say hi to Mom.
Hi, Mom. I see you too, Con.
So as Liz is working on her cuts here, I just want to remind you that you can purchase Liz's work, Kathleen's work, and all of our artists' work on our online store. So the majority of everything created is there, and you could come in, pick it up, put it on hold. We could even do a curbside drop-off if you choose. So check out the website, www.insideoutart.com, and you'll find a link to our online store. See the latest things that we've been producing in the studio. And also want to remind you that all the live art minis are put on our YouTube channel. So you can go search Inside Out Studio on YouTube and check out all of those videos. Liz, what's the hardest part of doing fused glass, in your opinion?
Well, trying not to get cut would be one.
That's one thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I see a bleeder right there
Yeah,
that you've
and
been
I'm
nursing.
Yeah, and I'm trying desperately not to get blood anywhere.
That's good. I'm going to go get you a Band-Aid. That's why I gave that little segue there.
Yeah. You okay there, man? Yeah. Typically, I get up and wash my hands first. But I can't really do that since I'm on YouTube.
There we go. It's fine. It's the reality of what we do here in the studio. I know we work with glass so much that you get a little tiny cut, kind of like a paper cut every now and then. And usually the big pieces are easier to handle. It's the smaller pieces and the chips that
do the real damage.
That's right, because
And
they're so
sometimes
small.
Sometimes the big pieces have little slicer parts on the sides that can really slice you up, and that can really do bad damage too.
Yep. Luckily, we've had no bad damage here and no major injuries. For the most part, I'm usually the one that gets cut the most. So I'm cutting as fast as I can, trying to get the glass going for the artists.
Another hard part is trying to make sure if you're having a specific job, like a specific piece, trying to get all the pieces to fit.
Yeah, as you can see, Liz was just doing some chipping there. She's working on like the mountain landscape and trying to get all the glass pieces to fit really snug together. I always say it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. All the pieces fit together and then they get fused in the kiln. Very good, Liz. She just started this morning and looks like it's almost done to me. All right, Liz, we're about to be done with Live Art Mini this week. I'm going to focus the camera back on you for a second, if you wouldn't mind looking up, and ask you if there's anyone you want to say hi to, bye to, recognize today.
Not really. Not really.
Jason Momoa, if you're watching,
No,
Liz
not
is a big
really.
fan.
No, not really.
All right, we're going to end the day also thanking our volunteers from Baden High School. We've got Paige and Grace in the house. Paige and Grace, anyone you want to say hi to today?
I don't think so.
No.
Anyone that's watching.
Everyone watching, thank you to our Baden volunteers that come in. Ladies, what are you working on today?
We're making magnets that are little donuts.
That's right. So we're part of the Butler County Visitors Bureau Donut Trail. So anyone coming in with a Donut Trail t-shirt, you get some freebies. You get some glass donut magnets created by staff and volunteers here at the studio. So I'm going to fade back to Liz here, working hard on her glass. Thanks for tuning in today. Like I said, check out our YouTube channel, check out our online store, and tune back in next week. Next Thursday, we're going to be looking at Kehinde Wiley with Morgan Gannemeyer. So he's a famous American artist currently working and does a lot of cool portraits. So from everyone here at Inside Out Studio, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.